A secret U.S. government project, codenamed Montauk, was created to develop technologies and methods in mind control, as well as the exploration of other outer fringe subjects, such as teleportation by opening portals to parallel worlds, and experiments on time travel and telekinesis. The project's details were brought to the attention of the public in the 1990s by a supposed experiment candidate and book author, Preston Nichols, who claimed to have recovered details of the experiments through his repressed memories. But how reliable are Preston Nichols' claims? And is there any proof that what he says is true? And what happened to the unfortunate people that were supposedly experimented on? Let's try and find out.
Hello, I'm Mike Droberg, a Marine Corps veteran and filmmaker, and we will try to answer these questions on today's episode of Forgotten History.
Project Montauk is the name given to a top-secret project in which a series of inhumane experiments were conducted on children by the U.S. government in the secret underground laboratories at Camp Hero Park in New York from the late 1950s to 1981. Camp Hero was founded in 1942 and commissioned by the U.S. Army as a coastal defense station to prevent a possible invasion of New York from the sea during World War II. Batteries 112 and 113, consisting of two 16-inch guns, officially named Battery Dunn, were built, as well as Battery 216, consisting of two 6-inch guns. All batteries were sheltered by earthen-covered concrete bunkers and had ammunition storage and fire control equipment. The whole base was disguised as a fishing village. After the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War, the base was used as an early detection radar base to defend against attacks from the USSR. The base had 12 radars, of which only one, the AN-FPS-35, has survived, whose image is widely circulated. The image has become the unspoken symbol of the Montauk Project amongst conspiracy theorists and the mass culture alike. The Montauk Project became known to the public after the 1992 book publication, The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time by Preston Nichols. The book became an instant bestseller. Preston Nichols claimed that the book was written from his suppressed memories, which had finally resurfaced and which had been previously suppressed by intelligence agencies using secret psychotechnics and other mind-altering equipment. Simply put, he was brainwashed to forget everything. But something triggered a wave of memories of the horrors he endured, and this is when he decided that they should become known to the world. As can be read from the events described in his book, the experiments of Project Montauk aimed to develop technologies and methods of mind control, as well as the possibility of teleportation, opening portals to parallel worlds, time travel, and telekinesis. Allegedly, Project Montauk was also linked to many secret government programs and experiments, the most famous of which was the Philadelphia experiment, which studied the invisibility, cloaking, and teleportation of a warship. We have an episode on that as well, so please check it out. After Preston Nichols' book became a bestseller, he began attending conferences, giving interviews, and participating in talk shows where he spoke about the inhumane experiments that took place in the underground laboratories of Camp Hero. Preston Nichols' activities were widely received, and his story became more known as more people spoke out, claiming to have also been victims of the Montauk experiments when they were children, but their suppressed memories had only returned to them after the revelations of Preston Nichols. Most of the victims, if not all of them, claimed that as children, they were mentally and physically abused in the underground laboratories where they were kept in cages. There is also information about homeless people who were used as test subjects, and psychics who went to the experiments voluntarily and cooperated with the scientists of the project. The government purportedly used torture and starvation methods on children to gain complete control over them. The participants of the Montauk Project, who regained their memory, claimed that the experiments used the methods and techniques of Austrian psychologist and scientist Wilhelm Reich, who was a student of Sigmund Freud himself. In 1939, Wilhelm Reich, after moving to the United States, began work on a project related to the study of energy, which he called orgone, or organic energy. Reich claimed that orgone surrounds us everywhere, and in the human body it is no less than life energy, and with the proper concentration, it is possible to cure deadly diseases such as cancer. To concentrate this energy, Reich created the orgone accumulator, which was a wooden box lined with metal. This device supposedly cured diseases through the accumulation of orgone energy. Strangely enough, Reich's dubious theories had gained a large number of followers. However, Reich was eventually banned from distributing or selling the orgone battery due to the strong public outcry it caused. However, Reich disobeyed the injunction and was imprisoned in the federal jail in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. On November 3, 1957, he was found dead in his prison bunk. An autopsy revealed myocardial insufficiency with heart failure. Reich's remaining devices and books were destroyed, and the orgone doctrine itself was debunked by a large number of prominent scientists, including Freud. But among conspiracy theorists, Reich is still considered a martyr for his discoveries and knowledge. Preston Nichols claimed that the AN/FPS-35 radar was transmitting signals in the same frequency range that Reich used to accumulate the orgone energy. Allegedly, orgone and the psychic abilities are related and inseparable. Preston Nichols described the experiments in which, thanks to techniques developed by Wilhelm Reich, subjects went into a trance, and in this state were completely controlled by the scientists. The so-called Montauk chair is described as a chair similar to a dentist's chair. It is located in a small chamber with many different devices. The chair reads a person's aura, and with the help of orgone, could give the subject superhuman-like powers, such as telekinesis, and the ability to open portals to other dimensions, or even time travel. An important part of the experiment was the materialization of physical objects by the psychic, as well as the transfer of objects and other biological forms from a parallel reality. According to Nichols' claims, while being in the Montauk chair, during experiments, the psychic was able to materialize objects in different corners of the underground complex. Moreover, an entire house was materialized in detail with all its finishings and furniture. This house was purportedly materialized right outside of the base. While the materialization of the house was one of the project's major successes, not everything went so smoothly. One of the experiments almost turned out to be a disaster when a psychic penetrated into another dimension and found himself in a hostile world full of demonic-like creatures. Luckily, he managed to close the portal without letting the creatures back into our world. Montauk residents claimed that in mid-August, it could snow, or a hurricane would come from nowhere, even though the local weather stations did not predict any strange weather incidents or provide any warning to the residents about it. Domesticated animals living in the area would suddenly become frenzied, often breaking into the houses of local residents, crashing through doors and windows, smashing everything that blocked their way. Also, strange creatures with tags on their limbs were often found washed ashore. These events were blamed on the base, and in particular the radar complex. The radar supposedly emitted the strange waves that caused the unusual weather activity and caused the local animals to behave in an abnormal manner. It is said it was also used by scientists who were attempting to break through the border with parallel worlds. The Montauk Project was the catalyst that spawned hundreds of investigative journalism articles, documentaries, and books. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, of people claim to have been participants in the experiment. The internet overflows with testimonies of people who purportedly took part in the experiment. Authors of dozens of books exploit the theme of Montauk, weaving into their stories experiments on children and include a variety of new topics ranging from UFOs to Atlantis. Conspiracy proponents believe that the Project Montauk was not only conducted by the government, but is still being conducted today. One could easily ignore the Montauk Project as just another conspiracy theory, but there are circumstances that make one look at Preston Nichols' story with some credence, such as the hundreds of people who also claim to have been part of the Montauk experiments. And as the number of people convinced they were victims of the Montauk Project, they began to seek out help. And of course, one man claimed to be able to help all these unfortunate people: Preston Nichols. According to Nichols, he had a unique ability to feel and see what was embedded inside a person by the experiment and was able to deprogram them and in fact even save them from their anguish. But in order to deprogram a person, it was necessary to bring the person back into the state they were programmed. Preston would sit people down in a medical chair, similar to the ones used during the experiments, and then he would start scanning them with his hands across their naked bodies. He convinced them that this was the only way to recovery and was necessary. Yeah, sounds like a creeper to me. So what was the Montauk Project? A creepy government experiment conducted to gain access to the minds of millions of ordinary citizens, or just the rantings of a pervo with an equally creepy fantasy who was a fan of Reich's writings? But if Preston made all this up, where did all the other experimentation victims come from? Are they all nutjobs too? This is the great mystery. Let us know your thoughts on the Montauk Project in the comments below.
Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments or show ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks again.